Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. It's a guarantee. We're not going to be here forever. And many of us wonder what, call it the afterlife, is like. What's it like when you pass over to the other side? We've got different perceptions of that based on maybe what our parents told us, maybe what we learned religiously, maybe what we've seen in movies and in TV. But is it true? We're going to talk with somebody who has an amazing ability to connect with the other side as a medium. She also practices spiritual healing and energy healing as well. And she is back with us. Kimberly Smith is on the program. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing today?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well, very well. I'm intrigued about what we're going to talk about today, in that I've often heard just as somebody's passing, they see a white light. That seems to be the common theme that everybody says, and those who have come back, obviously. Um, is that something that you've heard, you've gotten from spirit of those that have passed over, that they see something white, these white lights before they pass?
Yes, that's a very common thing. Not everyone sees that. Some people see a long tunnel. Some people will just be greeted by someone from their past, a loved one, a family member. It all depends on the person, I think. But that is a common thing, that they see a light. They see a very bright light. And what I call that is passing from one dimension into another. Because when we do pass on, we don't really leave per se. We just enter into another dimension that the living can't see, feel, or touch. I, on the other hand, have the ability to kind of bridge that gap, channel that, and I'm able to communicate with the spirit world.
Hmm. I can tell you that I've been connected to psychics, psychic mediums for decades. So I've seen the work. I believe in the work, of course. Like anybody else, I'm skeptical, even if they're friends. I'm like, all right, give me more. I want to,
Right.
let me see what you got. And but it was only until my mom passed 5 years ago that I had, I guess it's an epiphany that spirit is still around us, because I get signs, signals, very specific from her when I ask. And that was my, oh, just what you're saying.
Yes.
They pass into another dimension, but it doesn't mean their energy and spirit is not still here. Body is gone, but the spirit is still here.
That's exactly right. They have the ability to reach out to us. They have the ability to see us in our day to day. They have the ability to connect with us. We're just kind of like walking around in our day to day because we can't see them, touch them, feel them, sense them. Um, it's hard for a lot of people that are super realistic and who just don't kind of go in for this type of thing. But I'm here to tell everyone that it can be a very therapeutic thing for the grieving process, especially in the beginning, to have that realization that you can put yourself out there, you can become more aware, make yourself more aware for the signs. And there are a lot of signs. They can be lights going on and off in your house, telephones ringing, the channel changing on your TV without you, knowing it. So many different ways of reaching out. Some people have the sensation that someone is touching their hair. You can also have the sense of smell, a familiar fragrance that reminds you of that person, maybe a perfume that they wore. So many, it's hard to even say how they can reach out to us. We just have to kind of open ourselves up to it. And there is a therapeutic value and helping people to grieve during that process when they have just lost someone. It can be therapeutic to understand that we never really say goodbye and that they're there. All we have to do is open ourselves up to them, and we can get that connection again, that sense of feeling, knowing that we're not alone and that they're there for us.
Why is it that you may get signs from one loved one that's passed, but you don't get them from somebody else that may have passed? Why are some more visible than others?
That's interesting. I guess it's about perception. It may seem like you're not getting signs from maybe someone else, but the fact of the matter is that we just have to open ourselves up to it. The other thing is some people might think that some individuals have just ascended beyond that point. So there's a lot of different points of view with regard to that.
Is it that most of us don't see these signs and signals and communication because we got so much going on. We don't focus on it. We're always, running around, so many diversions, electronics devices and all of that, that's why we're not picking up on it.
It very well could be. I mean, if you think about the outside stimulation that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, it would be no surprise. Some people could be overloaded with that kind of stimulation that leaves them kind of not in a place to pick up and receive. But I try to tell people that finding your own space and time and trying some meditation really gets you there. Just being in a quiet place without any interruptions, where you close your eyes and you just, calm your whole nervous system down. This is when we're really at our most open to receiving these types of communications.
Hmm. I know what you're talking about because it's only been in the past year or so where I've been intentional about quieting the noise, call it meditation. And I actually look forward to it. I really do. Just the quiet, even before I go to bed. It's just like I just close my eyes and I just kind of float, think about different things. Um, maybe connect with loved ones. It's wonderful once you start doing it and then you're able to get in that spot sooner. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. It is that same feeling just before you drop off to sleep at night. Um, you're kind of at a blank slate there. You may feel like you're thinking about a lot of different things, but that time frame where you're just about to fall asleep, you're really not thinking about all that much. I mean, it's not a real concrete, you know what I mean? It may be a lot of different scattered thoughts. Um,
Mm,
that's the same feeling that you get during meditation. And this is when, now, for instance, myself, which might put a lot of people off, but for me at night before I fall asleep, I usually get a parade, a literal parade of faces that go through my mind of souls. And
mm.
I've never seen these individuals before, but this has been going on most of my life. And it's people wanting to come across, it's people wanting to have a communication. So it's that same feeling. It's right before you fall off to sleep. And when you're in meditation, it's that moment when you're really like Zen, where you're just feeling totally at peace with everything.
Why? Who are these people that you see? Like, how would you describe it?
Um, I I see all types of souls. I see children. I see older people. I also see, let's say, about 3 weeks prior to our President-elect Trump. uh, his first assassination attempt. Uh, I had an image in my mind about 3 weeks prior of him in a small stadium-like setting with a lot of people behind him, and he was speaking. And the overall feeling that I felt, because I get feelings that also come along with these images, was a very frightened feeling, a frightened feeling for him. And
Mm.
unbeknownst to me, 3 weeks later, I looked up at the news channel, and there it was being broadcasted live, the exact thing that I saw, um, of,
Wow.
of him standing there speaking to people in a small setting that looked like a stadium with a lot of people behind him. And that's when the individual tried to take
Oh.
his life.
Do you ever feel afraid?
No, it's odd. It's odd that I wouldn't feel afraid, but I don't feel afraid because I don't have any fear of what's happening to me. It's been with me almost my entire life, and it's become second nature to me. Um, there are times when I've also had visions of plane crashes that I've heard on the radio when I got up in the morning or saw on the TV screen. Yeah, those are scary. They're scary because you really, like, what's going on, but you don't know a lot of the details. Like, when is this happening? Or when did it happen? Or when is it going to happen? Where is it at? Who's involved? Sometimes I don't have a lot of details. So that can be a little bit scary. But even with that, I know that it's a precognition of something that's about to happen. So you learn to just kind of roll with it.
I I don't know how you do that. Because now you got pieces of information, but you don't have the connection. It you have a feeling of something, but you don't have confirmation of exactly what it is. Because if you did, you'd make a phone call, you'd send an email and say,
Exactly.
"Hey, be careful," or you need to know this, or whatever it might be. Um,
Yes.
and maybe it doesn't transpire the first time that you're feeling it. Maybe that doesn't mean it's going to happen in a day, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
You're
I
right,
don't know when it's going to happen.
right.
But usually with things like an airplane crash or something like that,
Hmm.
it's usually either just happened or is going to happen very soon, like within hours or minutes. That's been my experience with those kinds of precognitions. Um, so, uh, I may have some details, and then again, I may not. But nine
Hmm.
times out of 10, I hear it either on the radio or I turn the news on, and there it is.
And this is something that's been in your family for a long time, like 3 generations.
Yes, that's right. My grandmother on the German side of my family was very gifted, and she was sort of my mentor. Uh, she waited until I was around 16 years old, and that has to do with family taboo and certain people in the family not very accepting of this kind of thing, and for religious reasons. But yeah, she waited until I was about 16, and she taught me everything that I know. And it's
Mm.
been, it's been going. It skipped a generation. My mom and my aunt and my uncle had no interest, but it was my great grandmother, my grandmother, and myself. And also now I see a lot of the gift in my oldest niece. So it hasn't skipped another generation, which is kind of nice.
So, for the rest of us, do you feel that we all have some kind of intuition, some kind of ability, but it may be more for some and less for others because of our focus. Some people are more tuned into it.
Absolutely. And it's not so much focus, but it's also the environment. I always tell people if you have a child, that comes to you and says, I see this, I hear that, don't poo-poo it. Um, let them have their experiences, let them talk to you about it.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's important because I think we've all have these abilities, but over the millennium, it's been squashed because of religious reasons for the most part. So, I think if you have a child or someone in your life that has these abilities, um, be supportive,
Mm.
because it it is a gift.
My daughter has had observations. Um, she's a teenager, and my youngest one, and she's even said some people that that are connected to family, it's just creepy. Like they're, could be a family friend or whatever. And she would just say, something's not. And twice now she was right because
Mhm.
their true selves revealed themselves, even though, I
Right.
was trusting them. They're all good. Um, she nailed it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of empaths out there.
Yeah.
And these are also people, I'm also an empath. I can pick up on the feelings of other people. I can pick up on what someone's true intentions are. And there's a lot of empaths out there, and that is a gift as well. And like I said, be supportive.
Mm,
Don't say, oh, that's ridiculous, or you don't know what you're talking about, or
no.
however you might negatively respond. I always say, be supportive, because these are things that are a part of us that have been squashed for a very long time. And I think if we can be supportive of them, there's no telling, what can evolve out of it.
To that point, I'll share very quickly. I asked my mom for a sign. I got it on the bottom of a modem. I had a new modem delivered, turned it over, and automatically generate a password. 4 digits dash rows dash 2 digits. Rose was my mom's name.
Right.
I don't know if I shared this. Tell me.
No, you
Um,
haven't shared this, but it's interesting. Before we even hooked up today, I felt that there was a female spirit coming through for you from the other side. And I know now that it was Rose.
well, the thing and that was one of many times that she's dropped that when I said, "Hey, mom, send me something." It's been a while.
Hmm.
The 4 digits at the beginning of that password and the two at the end, her name in the middle, they always came out to 7-Eleven. I'd add them up. 7-Eleven. What is that? Couldn't figure it out. And I mentioned it to my daughter. I'm like, yeah, see, here's what happened. And she doesn't think I'm crazy. She's like, maybe it has something to do with your father. Now, he passed when I was 21 from a sudden heart attack. And my parents had gotten divorced when I was much younger. So I thought about it more. And since, these things years ago, didn't even think of it. 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven was my dad because he died on 7-Eleven.
Hmm.
He was born on 3/4, added up. And I took that as a sign of my mom saying, maybe with my dad, go go to a cardiologist. So make an appointment. Never did it before. I go, I walk in, first woman I see at the intake counter. I look at her shirt and it says Rose. And, I did the workup and the whole deal, and they identified some minor stuff. When you get older, there's little things going on here and there, all good.
Yeah.
But I think that was my mom's way of saying, you got to keep this in check. And this is
Yeah.
why I'm sending it to you. But it was my daughter that said, maybe it's something with your dad. My daughter obviously never met my dad, but she's like, maybe,
Yeah.
and she was right.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing the creativity behind it too? Isn't it just like God to um, open this communication between us in a puzzle-like form that we're able to put the pieces together to figure out exactly what it means. It's very creative, and it's very much like something God would do.
Like a puzzle, and you got
Yeah.
to put it together. It's not like we're testing you with this, and
No,
you got to figure it out.
no, no.
It's there if you apply yourself and think about it and live
Exactly.
in that moment. Um, and that's just one of many that I've gotten from my mom, and they're just undeniable. How would all right, somebody can just say, what are the chances of those numbers? But it was her name on the password, and that's one of them. I don't even get surprised anymore. I just say, thanks, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah, this is so important. That I say if we change our attitudes about death and dying, and that we can still communicate with them. We're
Sure.
not going to hear the answer blatantly like it would come out of their mouth, but
Right.
we are going to get an answer. We are going to get a response. And if people could just become a little bit more comfortable with the idea that if you feel the presence of someone you love, open yourself up to it. Nobody's saying that you should go around and talk to the air and look like you're crazy to everyone else.
Hmm.
But what I am saying is that you will have times, you will have moments where you're able to do that in the privacy and the comfort of wherever you are. And I recommend highly that people do this frequently.
Yeah. No. Don't have to sell me. I'm there. How does somebody connect with you, Kimberly? If they want to do a reading, maybe they're sensing some things and want to know, is this real? Is this somebody trying to contact me? How do they contact you?
There's two ways that they can contact me. They can contact me directly through my website, which is beyond-the-vail, VAIL.com. And that's my direct website, and they can book an appointment with me there. Or they can go on to Bob Olson's best psychic directory, and I am one of his top psychics listed on the website, and they can reach me there as well.
Wow. Thank you for confirmation on a lot of things today, and the insights on the other side. Always fascinating talking with you, and looking forward next time we get together. Appreciate it.
I've had such a good time, Steve. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and happy Thanksgiving too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.